Okay, so today we're going to talk about how do we create how do we create content for warm traffic, right? And so there's one of the things that I really need you guys to understand because I think that so many people have this misconception of, well, I'm going to put out like 10 pieces of content and I should automatically start to see results. Or I'm going to put out content for 30 days, I should be seeing results. I'm going to put out content for 60 days, I should be seeing results, right? Well, that's not quite how it works, right? So if we look at the digital landscape of the online marketing space for 2024, lots of things have changed, right? I mean, there's so many people who have been making six figures a month, seven figures a month that are coming to me and saying, Laurel, what are you seeing on your side? Because we used to make seven figures a month and now we are lucky if we close at six. Lots of changes. So if you feel like, well, it's really hard for a beginner to break through right now, it's not only the beginners, it is everyone who is having issues. And one of the things that I want to lay out for you guys is that it's not going to get any easier. As a matter of fact, Google is about to make it even harder. Do you guys remember what happened in 2021, the iOS update? Well, guess what? Google is following suit where Chrome will no longer track third-party cookies. And so that is going to make it extremely difficult. So we're literally having another pixel apocalypse coming here towards the end of 2024, going into 2025. And so those of you guys who have been listening to me for the last couple of years, you're going to be okay. Don't worry about it, right? Because what do? We make sure that people are engaging with our content on platform. That way we can continue to, follow our people around and stalk them until they buy, right? So more good news for those of you guys who've been continuing the path. Bad news for those of you guys who have sat in one of my classes for the last year and have yet to do anything. I'm just going to tell you flat out, right? Shame on you, because right now it's it's not too late, but the stuff's already set in place, right? And so the worst time to start is going to be tomorrow. The best time to start is going to be today. Okay. But here's the deal. Now, and you guys know I'm going to give it to you like straight up. Because I know a lot of you guys are like, you're still trying to navigate the whole ad space. What I tell my students to do is don't look at the ad space and the content space as two totally different things. For me, they're the exact same thing. And so a lot of times my students will ask me, well, are you talking about ad content? Or are you talking about content, organic content? I'm like, to me, they're the same thing, right? Because organic content is literally free advertising and paid ads are just organic content with money on it. They are exactly the same thing. They are built to get eyeballs, right? And so most of you guys who are sitting in this room right now, you are having trouble getting eyeballs, okay? Now, for those of you guys who are on the fence of, well, I just want to do ads, I don't really want to do organic. Well, I got some bad news for you because organic actually fuels ad stuff. That's just how it is. Like, even years ago, I kept telling my agency clients this. I was like, we need to be doing organic because organic does help the ad spend. It does lower the cost of the CPMs. It lowers the cost of ads. And so many people wanted to argue with me over the last several years over that thing. And now we're seeing the proof more and more that if you are doing organic content, it is actually going to add fuel to the fire of ads. Because here's the thing, they're going to make your ads more profitable. I've been seeing this for years. And here's how people are kind of following our ads and all of our journey, right? And so when people see one of our ads, and I look at my own behavior too, whenever I see an ad, one of the very first things that I do is I don't go in Google. I actually go to that person's social media. And I just see, like, is this person someone that I should be following? And what do you think I do if I go to their business page or I go to their YouTube channel and there's zilch? I'm like, this person is probably a fly by night expert who's just trying to sell something that everyone else is making money selling, right? And so when we are putting out this content plan, right, we have to make sure that we are 100% dedicated, because I'm seeing some of you guys dipping your toes in and you're dipping your toes out. You're dabbling. You can't just dabble anymore. Like, you have to freaking go all in. Okay. And so, because here's the thing, If you, and this is why it's super important. I'm going to go over optimizing the beginning of the ecosystem, because I'm noticing that a lot of you guys aren't doing that. You're just putting out your ads and then you're not actually optimizing. But one of the things that you have to understand is that if you are putting out content and people are watching your videos, that is a good thing. A lot of you guys are getting really discouraged because you're maybe not getting conversations yet. That's okay. Most of the people who sit in my classroom inside the Lean on Laurel program have never had a conversation with me up until the point that they decided to buy. Like half the time when Christina's like, oh, so and so just joined LOL, I'm like, oh, I don't know who that person is, but I'm gonna go check them out, right? And so whenever you're putting out content and people are actually consuming it, not necessarily that. Now, when I say consume it, that just means watch it, right? And why do you guys think that I have you guys track your watch times, right? You got your hook rate, your hold rate, your cost per 25% view. Like a lot of people are getting way, way discouraged because, well, they're not getting any comments. But I'm like, dude, I would much rather someone watch 100% of my video than just comment for a free thing. Like that is highly, highly engaged, that they're like actually sitting there, right? Because someone can comment on your content and not even have watched a lick of the video. They could have just seen the CTA, or they saw other people commenting and they're like, oh, I want in on that, right? And so my strategy is built to get you both, though, right? Because conversations are the fastest path to cash, but a more engaged lead is the lead that I want. Someone who's consuming my content over time, okay? Because here's the thing. How many of you guys have been actually booking phone calls, but your show rate sucks? It's because people haven't consumed your content long enough, right? And so this is why whenever I get people who come to me and they've been running a direct response funnel, like a webinar or an ebook funnel, and they're like, Laurel, my show up rate just sucks. And I'm like, it's because you're trying to get someone who's absolutely cold onto the phone. Does it work? Abso-freaking-lutely, with a lot of work. But then what do you have to do? Once you get them on the phone, it is a freaking hard thing to do, to take someone from cold to sold in like a 45-minute call, especially when that person isn't familiar with the value that you could actually provide, right? And so if you put out organic content, and again, this is content that you can use for ads, it's going to raise your show up rate. And then once you have raised your show up rate, what also happens? Your close rate is going to go up. You're going to get more clients, right? And so right now, I don't want you guys to worry too much about, the comments and the views. Just like keep going, because here's the thing. In the very beginning, you're going to be using this content that we're going to talk about today as lead nurture, right? So literally, if people are seeing your ads, they follow you, or if they just kind of see your content pop up in the news feed, that's going to nurture them until they're ready to actually take action. Because think about this, and I'll use a brick and mortar business as a great example of this, because here's the thing. So many people are actually losing out on getting clients because they have failed to nurture their audience. I'll give you an example. So let's say that Christina and we want to go out for pizza, right? And I start looking on Instagram or whatever, and I start seeing pizza places, right? And I'm like, oh man, this one looks really good. And I'm looking at the pictures on Instagram, and I'm just like, man, this is kind of cool. Like this person is like cooking this pizza. And then right before we're about to leave, Christina's like, you know what? I just want to walk to Shaggy's across the street and go sit at the beach and have a cocktail and eat a taco. I'm like, okay, cool, right? And then 2 months later, I'm like, hey, like, remember, like I was looking at that pizza place, and how do you feel about pizza? And she's like, oh yeah, let's do pizza. That person has not followed up with me, has not continued to put content in front of me. And I don't know what pizza, like what the place, I don't remember what it was even called. And so I go to Google and I Google pizza in Biloxi, and I go to the first one, and guess what? It's not the one but what if that person, because I was engaged with their content for a couple of minutes, what if they would have just laid on $1, $2 a day ad in order to follow me for those 2 months? What would have happened? I probably would have gone. I probably would have enjoyed the pizza, and I probably would have continued to go back again. That is what's happening to a lot of you guys who aren't like being consistent in the way that you're running this strategy. You're not filling in the gaps because it's not about trying to find the person that's ready to buy right now. It's about staying in front of that person until they're ready to buy. And that's where the opportunity is, because everyone is going after the people right now who are, quote, ready to buy. Okay. So what we want to take away from that part right there, okay, is we want to be consistent. If you are having issues getting people to pay attention to your content, if you're having issues getting people to close, well, probably need to put better content or at least some content in front of them consistently, right? One of the things that my mentor continues to tell me, it's frequency. We want quantity over quality in the beginning. We don't know what's quality until we put out enough pieces of content. And putting out content every other day for 30 days is not being consistent in putting out content. I'm talking about putting out content every single day. Because in that frequency, you're going to find your intensity, right? A lot of people are like, well, Laurel, you know, I sort of follow your power content framework. And then they come to me 30 days later and they're like, well, it's not working. I'm like, well, it's because you're not following my framework. My framework has been proven for years for a reason, right? Master that, then you can go in and put your own intensity in it, right? Because first you have to master just the fact that you're putting out content. Follow a proven framework. You're going to get there a lot faster. Then once you get into and develop the habit of mastering that content, then you could actually start to put in your own, well, you know what? I'm going to change Laurel's intro just a little bit, but that's fine because you've put in the work and you understand what works for you. That's your intensity. Then comes purpose. Who are you doing it for? Right? Because I will say this, if you consistently put out content every single day, your purpose will find you and it will be completely different than the purpose that you set out to find. I will tell you that right now. If I were still chasing my purpose, I would be working with pizza parlors as a brick and mortar agency. That was who I first started putting out content for. I wanted to help pizza parlors get more traffic to their store. That's how I started out with. But every single day I was going live teaching this $5 ad strategy that I was doing for, the TV station. And I got found by the internet marketing space and y'all just pulled me in and were like, we want to learn what you have. And now this has become my purpose. So I tell you guys that because I think a lot of you guys have an idea of who you want to actually serve, but through putting out content, you're going to find your target market that's just going to latch onto you and they're just going to follow you everywhere. And that's what we want. So if you're feeling a little bit discouraged that your ideal clients aren't paying attention to you, guess what? Stay consistent because there might be someone who will actually pay attention to you and will actually do it in a way that is going to make you feel confident about the content that you're putting out. Okay. So another thing before we actually get into the actual meat and potatoes of the training today. Okay. I'm not going to mention a couple of names on here, but lately I've been doing a lot of research for my Lean on Laurel students, right? I've got plenty of Lean on Laurel students that will come in and say, hey, I've been putting out content for a really long time and my audience just doesn't seem to be grabbing onto it. And I want to reiterate how important it is that we find every way possible to talk to our ideal clients. Because I have had several students who I've done research projects for lately that when we've put their content in front of their ideal clients are like, but that's not what I'm looking for. Right? Chat GPT is not your ideal client. It can help you try to figure it out, but so many of you guys are just relying on Chat GPT to tell you what your clients want, and at the end of the day, they're not your ideal client. And a lot of you guys are trying to shortcut your way through that process. You have to figure out a way to talk to your ideal clients. Why do you think I still do 100 messenger conversations every single week? Because I am in touch with exactly what problems you guys are having, because I'm having conversations with you guys on a weekly basis. And it is super, super important that you make that a priority, because you can put out all of the content that you want, but if you're not putting out the right content and talking in a way that your ideal clients can relate to, you're repelling them. And then you're trying to figure out, well, why is no one, like, reaching out to me? Why is no one watching my content? You could be just barking up the wrong tree. And that's a complete, like, total, that could be totally happening. Whenever I first started, I still do this today. I just spoke at the Biloxi Chamber of Commerce a week or two ago. Like, I am still out having conversations outside of the internet marketing space. If I walk out that door right there, there's a whole bunch of businesses on Main Street that I can go and talk to and say, hey, what is your issue with ads this week? How could I be of service to you? Right? I'm going to find out way more information by walking out my front door right here and talking to all of these businesses than I will by typing something into Chat GPT right now. And so sometimes we just have to do that extra legwork in order to figure that out. Okay. Now, let's talk about the actual content, right? That's what everyone is here today. They're like, I want to figure out how to actually do content. So in order for us to actually talk about content, we have to make sure that we're all on the same page when it comes to what exactly does our ideal clients want from us, right? And so a lot of you guys need to understand this one simple thing, okay? Mr. Russell Brunson, right? He all told us we are all one funnel away, that if we put people into a funnel, they're just naturally going to fall through. That's not how it works, right? If I go to the store and get oil and put it in my 2013 Honda Civic right now, it's going to fall through the funnel, right? It's going to go, I'll pour it right in, it's going to go straight down. But humans are not like that. Humans have fears. Humans get scared. They get overwhelmed. There's a lot of friction, right? There's a lot of freaking friction. And so if we put out content in front of these people, there's going to be a lot of people who are not going to consume it. They're not going to engage with it because they don't have clarity on how you can actually help them or what problem that you actually solve. And so in order to get people through that first barrier, right, we have to make sure that we are giving people absolute clarity on what problems we solve and how we can actually solve it for them, right? And so this is where the top of funnel content needs to be crystal clear. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but because today is more about the warm traffic, but it's important that you guys know how to optimize that in order to let enough volume of people through. Okay. So people have made it through your first tier of content. They understand, oh, Tina and Dan, oh, they can help me because I'm a real estate agent and they help me get more seller leads. Cool. Right? Crystal clear. The hardest part, though, is providing certainty that what Tina and Dan are putting out will work for me. Right? I've got all kinds of objections. I've got all kinds of friction. I don't even know if Tina and Dan are actually experts. I don't know. They could be just someone watching YouTube videos and putting out the same type of content as everyone else, right? How many of you guys probably watched a couple of my videos to figure out, oh, is Laurel the real deal? Or is she just, copying someone else's, frameworks and just like passing them off as her own? Like, how do I know? There's so many people who are out there pitching ads, right? Once we have provided certainty that we can actually help that person. This is where trust comes in. And this is a big one. Okay. This is a huge one. And, you know, one of the last trainings that I did, I kind of, a couple of people got a little triggered because I talked about one of the best ways to get rid of imposter syndrome is to just not promise you're going to do something that you can't actually do, right? Makes total sense. I mentioned that because at the time of sales, trust is transferred, right? If you don't believe in your own ability to provide that person with results, that person is going to sniff you out like a dog sniffing a good ribeye. People know, like, if you cannot showcase that you know your stuff on that call, you're not going to make the sale, right? And so I'm going to show you guys like a little exercise. It's in the program, but I kind of feel like I would be doing a disservice if I did this training and I didn't show you guys at least the overview of the exercise so that you guys can do the rest of the stuff that we're going to do today. But we have to understand that this is a flow. Clarity, certainty, trust. So I'll show you guys how this actually falls in with my strategy. So when it comes to clarity, this is going to be your power content, and then it's going to be whatever offer you're putting out there, right? So if we go through the program, there's 3 phases of my ecosystem, right? Phase 1, this is going to be your conversion multipliers. In phase 2, this is going to be your power offer. And then in phase 3, this is going to be your funnel. So at all times, we want to be bringing people in to our ecosystem through watching video views, building an invisible list, but also while building a physical list, right? The invisible list is going to be on platform actions of people watching the content, whereas our offer, whether it's an indirect, which is a value bomb, or a direct, like a power offer or a funnel, we want to be bringing leads in. Then the second wall that we have to get them through is here, right? And that's the type of content that we're going to be talking about today because we have to give them certainty. One of the things that I love about my phase 1 strategy is that even if you're brand new and you only have $500 a month to spend, phase 1, you should never leave phase 1. If you only have $500 or more, you should more than likely never leave phase 1 because that's where the $5 ad strategies live. And that's where most of you should be having your conversations. And what does a conversation allow you to do? It allows you to knock out certainty and trust all in one. So that's why my strategy, sometimes you'll hear people being like, I put out a value bomb and I got my first client within 24 hours. It happens all the time. It's because conversations are the fastest path to cash, but that person knew what type of conversation to have, right? Yep. So if we are doing this type of strategy, so I just had a question from Gio. Could you give us an example of what kind of content you created for each stage where you're helping pizza stores? So for pizza stores, it wouldn't be this strategy because it's brick and mortar. It's a little bit different. I don't have to convince someone that they need a slice of pizza, right? That's why I separated the brick and mortar strategy, because the content pieces are going to be different. But you can still apply the same principle, but it's going to be very different for brick and mortar. So if we look at this, right? So let's just go with clarity, because I've seen so many people putting out the content. So here's the main thing that I want you guys to remember about phase 1, right? Because someone posted in the group the other day, well, Laurel, if I'm doing phase 1, I don't understand how the math comes out to being lower than $500 a month, because if I do 6 pieces of content at $5 a day, it's $900 a month. And then over 3 months is $2,700. Well, it's because that person isn't taking into account that we should be actually optimizing. Okay. So in the clarity phase, right? In the clarity phase, this is the top of funnel, right? Very, very top. I teach you guys how to do 3 pieces of power content, and I teach you guys how to do your conversion multipliers. Okay. What I want you guys to keep in mind is that the goal here is to create volume, right? Because without volume of traffic, we can't nurture anyone. If we don't have anyone to nurture, we can't nurture. And so that's why it's important that we're trying to optimize our top of funnel to create volume, not necessarily clients. We're wanting to create volume. And how are we going to create volume? Well, we're going to send cold traffic here and cold traffic here, right? So if we remember, at the end of the day, we're trying to get 500 people to watch 25% or more of our power content. And we're trying to get, I always just use that as a benchmark, 100. I have plenty of clients who do good with 20 to 30 messenger conversations a day, but you don't know that, right? You don't know your intensity until you do what? The frequency. So think about this, okay? Our goal is to get 500 people added to our invisible list every single week. If we're paying 30 cents per 25% video view, right? Let's say we're paying 30 cents. You're only going to get 3 to 4 people watching for every dollar spent. And if you're paying $5, that's 4 times 5. You're only going to get 25% views a day times 7. That's only 140. Will that get us to our goal? With 3 hitting 30 cents? Well, no, right? We're still going to fall under 500. And if you only have $5 a day to spend here, right? Because everyone can't spend, because if you ran this all month long, it will be $900. But you want to figure out what is the cost. And this is different for everyone. And this is where you guys have to do math. If you can get this down to 5 cents and you only have $5 a day to spend, you can only afford to spend it on one video. But that one video has to deliver 25% views at 5 cents in order to hit our 500 goal. This is where the math comes in. And it's different for everyone, but this is the math that you have to learn how to do. But if you remember that at the end of the day, all we have to do is get 500 people added to our invisible list. Now, some people might say, well, Laurel, I'm only getting 300. Well, that's cool. 300 times 4, that's about 1,200 people added to your invisible list a month. Is that enough? Could be. But I'm always trying to lower my cost per 25% view so that I can get it on budget. Does that make sense for everyone? Can everyone tell me in the chat, like, did this make sense? Because if you leave it on, right, like you might not be able to hit your budget. You might go over budget. We don't want to go over your budget. And so that's why it's important, right? So we want to be getting enough conversations a week and enough people added to our invisible list in order to hit our goal. And so that's one of the things that I'm seeing so many people not do the math, and they're happy because they're like, oh, well, I'm getting 50 cents per, 25% video view. I'm like, that's only going to be about 10 people added to your invisible list a day times 7. That's only 70. You're going to fall short with your budget, right? So that needs to be whatever you can afford to spend according to your budget. So this is where we have to do numbers, right? And so Margaret just said, would you say there are bigger chances to hit those 5 cents if the video is 3 minutes instead of 5 minutes? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you also don't want to lessen the quality of the video either. If it needs to be a 5-minute video, I would much rather someone watch a 5-minute video all the way through than a 3-minute. But I mean, it's still top of funnel, right? And so the piece that we're actually going to talk about today is the actual certainty piece, right? Because this is where the middle of funnel work needs to be done, right? It's a lot easier to get people to engage with your content than it is to actually get to pull people through your content, right? And so I'm going to show you guys how I have designed the program so that you can actually put out this consistent content. But it all starts with a simple exercise. Let me actually, here we go. Okay. So if we go into phase 1, and It's in this section, adding content for warm traffic. Make sure that you watch this video because a lot of people are like, Laurel, there's no, how to actually set this up. It is all in here. Even like if you go here, it actually shows you the ad setup and everything that I use. We're also going to talk about like all of the retargeting content is in I actually walk you through where the content is in the program. And then we're going to be talking about this stealth influence exercise, which by the way, if you have not watched Nick and I's stealth influence training, I highly, highly recommend it because that is where we're going to talk a lot about what type of content to actually create today. Now, all content starts with this exercise. Now, this is in different parts of the program. I have it in the power offer section. I have it in the power content section. And the reason that I have it in a couple of different places inside the program is because it's super important. And we all need to know, what does our client journey look like? Whenever I told you guys a while ago, whenever you get someone on the phone that trust is transferred, like through the belief that you could actually get results for people, where people end up kind of choking up during the call is because they fail to actually show that person, like, what does the path actually look like to actually getting that result? And so I make all of my students do this in the very beginning. Like, what does your client journey look like? Okay. So if I broke down my client journey, right, from taking people to not having clients all the way to scaling to 7, 8 figures, it's going to look like this. Okay. My first goal is helping people set up their invisible leads, which is the power content strategy. Goal number 2 is to get them messenger conversations. Goal number 3 is to validate an offer. Goal number 4 is setting up the retargeting ecosystem. And goal number 5 is automation and scale. Okay. At the end of the day, those are my 5. That's what my client journey looks like for most of my clients, right? And so Linda just asked, you talk a lot about having phone conversations, have an online course where there's no physical calls, and it doesn't matter. You have it's either phone calls or selling people through a sales page, right? It does not matter. You still have to provide the same amount of certainty and trust. And selling through a sales page is much harder than selling through a phone call. And so one of the things that I recommend all of my students do is, Linda, if you're not selling through that sales page, I would say book 100 calls with your ideal clients, sell it through that sales page. Sell it on a phone call. Then you'll know exactly what to write on that sales page as to why people aren't moving forward, right? Because think about this, when you send traffic to a sales page and people don't buy, you have no idea why. Like, even whenever in the very beginning, whenever I was designing the $7 program, I didn't have to take phone calls for it because I had already talked to so many people about the offer because I offered it in a higher ticket form. So I already knew what people were looking for. I already knew what they wanted from me. And so we have to get the information though, right? And so if you have never sold your offer and you're planning on doing with a sales page, and I'm not saying you have to do it this way, that's just the way that I prefer it because I want to hear it from their mouth. Like, why are they saying no to this? What was repelling about this offer so that I can work that into my sales page? That was a good question, Linda. And I just want you guys to remember, it does not matter how we're like the vehicle that which we're selling this, all of the principles still apply. Like everything that we're talking about today. So if I look at this, these are the 5 goals that that I take people through, right? Now keep in mind, okay, some of you guys came to my program because you had nothing. You were starting from scratch. The clients who are sometimes the most profitable come in and have me help them with nothing but goal number 5. So what does that tell us? That we should probably be creating content for anyone trying to reach any of these goals, right? So what you want to do is you want to break this down, right? In order for my clients to reach goal number 1, what is the mechanism that I'm using and what are the steps to achieving goal number 1? Now, bonus points if you can make goal number 1 measurable, right? Like for you guys, I just said, hey, goal number 1 is to get 500 invisible leads every single week, right? It's tangible. Then you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. How are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to show you how to do a video ad. What are the steps to putting together a badass video ad? Well, step 1 is you got to know how to write a good headline. The second, you got to know how to write a great promise of value. Third step is you need to know how to tell people who you are and what you do. And then you got to give people a way to engage with you. For my framework, these are the steps that you need in order to hit this goal. A lot of you guys don't even know what your mechanism is. A lot of you guys don't even know what your goal is. I know. I just did this during the Discovery Call Accelerator, and poo, Lord, I was like, people don't know what they're selling. And that's the problem. Like, if you're not getting results, it's because you've never done this exercise. But think about this. Think about this. If I get someone on a sales call and I have all of the steps laid out like this, what do you think is going to happen to my trust? It's going to transfer probably pretty easy. And this person's going to be like, Laurel knows the hell. Like, she laid out the steps and everything that I need to do in order to get results. I'm going to work with her. But what we really want, and this is what we're going to talk about today, what we really want is for them to come to that call already being sold. This is why I don't have to get on calls to sell Lean on Laurel. This is why I don't have to get on calls to sell Success Circle. This is why I pretty much don't have to get on the phone to sell anything, because I put out so much content that people almost have zero questions by the time that they're ready to work with me. They're just like, where's the link? So here's the thing, right? Your goal is where your power offer is going to be, your direct offer. And what are going to be the features and benefits of your power offer? Well, those are going to be in the steps at which you need in order to get the goal. This is why this exercise is super, super important, right? Because what makes a good power offer? A promise, a mechanism, and the steps and benefits at which to reveal how they're going to get this goal. We'll take it one step further. How do we figure out what type of power content to do for our audience? Well, here's power content number 1. Here's power content number 2. Here's power content number 3. Here's power content number 4. Do I have a free resource that will accelerate someone getting here? Awesome. The free resource, there's your value bomb. So if you literally go through this entire exercise, right? What are your goals? A lot of people are going to have 3 to 5. Some people call them pillars of their program. I like to say goals, milestones, because it helps me create them as a more tangible outcome. Now, here's where it gets more interesting. And this is the work. But here's the thing, and this is why I tell my Lean on Laurel students all the time, is if you do this one time, that's all you have to do it is once. All you have to do is one time. Now, what you're going to do next is you're going to take this power content number 1, right? What problem does this solve? Okay. What problem does this solve? Well, if my audience doesn't know how to write a good headline, the problem that this solves is they're not getting attention with their videos. No one's stopping the scroll and watching their videos. That's a problem, right? So from the steps that we're using in order to help people in our program, we're solving, each of these steps is going to solve a problem. These are all the micro problems that your ideal clients are actually facing, right? And so we can plug each one of this. So if I go here, step number 1, the headline that grabs your ideal audience's attention and polarizes the rest, I'm going to pop it into this. And don't worry, I'm going to give you guys these sheets. This is typically one that I save for LOL, but I'll give it to you guys here on this call. For those of you guys who showed up live, I'm going to reward you guys. I'm going to post it in the chat. Then I run it through this entire filter. What's the problem? Well, the problem is people aren't stopping the scroll and watching their videos. Prove the problem to be true with real data. Here's where I can go to Mr. Chat GPT, or I can go to Google and say, what percentages of videos do people actually watch? Or what is the average watch time for people putting out videos in the online marketing space, right? Just prove the data to be true, right? How are your ideal clients trying to solve that problem themselves? Well, I can say this, if people aren't stopping the scroll when it comes to watching their videos, they're likely spending their time on someone's $37 offer for swipe files, or they're spending time in Chat GPT trying to get Chat GPT to write hooks for them. Why does that not work? Well, Chat GPT doesn't know their ideal client's pain points per se. ChatGPT can kind of pull data, but it's not a real person. What would be more valuable, talking to ChatGPT or talking to one of your ideal clients? Why is your solution to that? What is your solution to that problem? That would be my solution, right? Talk to your damn client. Why does your solution work? Well, because it's words out of their mouth. How does your solution work? Well, step one to writing the headline is identifying the problem. Step two is being able to identify something that they're actually going through at that day. So you see how I'm literally going through this and literally identifying every single step. What's a success story that validates your solution? Well, I taught Jean-Michel how to write a really good hook, and he ended up with a phone call resource that accelerates getting to that solution. Well, here's an exercise that literally takes 3 minutes. Who wants it? Drop a line below. So yes, I know what you guys are thinking. It's a lot of work, but guess what? This is the work that you only have to do one time. But you see how crystal clear this is? Like, a lot of you guys don't even know this. Like, you're guessing. And it literally takes you through every single thing. Now, if I have 5 goals and I've got 3 to 5 micro problems under each, that's going to give you 15 pieces of content. But here's the thing. Okay. If you go through this exercise right here that Nick shows you, this is one of the first exercises that Nick showed me. And people absorb content in 4 different ways. Actionable content. These are the how-to videos, the analytical, the data-driven videos, the anthropological, human behavior, or aspirational stories, right? So let's say I go to here, goal number 3, people want to validate an offer. What's the mechanism? The mechanism is writing a 1 to 2 sentence offer called a power offer. What are the steps? Well, we're going to write a power offer. We're going to test it with a $5 ad, hope that it books 8 to 9 calls, and we're going to close 2 to 3, right? So if I run it through the stealth influence lenses, our trust profiles, as Nick calls them, we'll take the topic of how do you write a power content. Well, the actionable video would be how to write an offer that will get clients this week. The analytical, how I wrote one offer and got 40 people to say yes and closed 4 clients. Anthropological, here's why most business owners can't sell their offer. Aspirational, how Amy closed 10 clients last month using this 1 sentence offer. So now I've got not 1 piece of content, I've got 4 pieces of content that's going to hit every single trust profile from every different angle. So now, instead of 15 pieces of content, I've got 15 times 4. But guess what? Every time you have a conversation, you get to write 4 totally different pieces of content for that one thing. Why? Because every person is going to give you different data. Every person's going to give you a different story. Every person's going to behave different. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? Like, you only have to do this exercise once. And this is why I tell you guys, like, take the darn phone call. A lot of people are like, well, I don't have time to get on phone calls. Well, what the hell are you doing? You don't even have clients. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing with your time? Like, take the damn phone call, because it's going to give you more content that you could actually use. That's why, like, in the very beginning, my very first mentor, that was the one thing I took away from him. He didn't help me with anything else, but you know what? That was the one takeaway that I paid $5K for my first mentor. That was the one takeaway. He made me get on, I want to say it was 120 20-minute phone calls within a 90-day period. That was his goal for me. He was like, if you get on X amount of calls, you will know exactly what your ideal clients. That was the one thing I took away from him. And that's the one thing that really like accelerated the point, right? I started my business in April of 2018, and by November I had put in my notice at work because I just executed every single thing that I told you guys. Now Nick came around and showed me the 4 trust profiles for the self-influence exercise, but that right there, the stealth influence exercise, because here's kind of like how the exercise flow, because I didn't want to go through the exercise flow. I just kind of wanted to go through the trust profiles. But what the stealth influence exercise actually does is it provides certainty that what you have will actually work for the person. Okay. Like I said, I'm not going to go through it, but I'll give you guys an example. So let's say let's say I'm a fitness coach and I'm on the phone with a person, a mother who wants to lose the baby weight, right? And I'm on the phone and she says, this all sounds great, but I don't really have time to go to the gym. And what does every closer tell you to tell people, right? Well, don't you want to invest time in yourself? Are you worth it? Right? Gives them all like busts objections after the other. The problem with busting objections is that busting an objection does not eliminate a false belief, right? And what the stealth influence exercise actually helps you do is identify the false belief, the story that person tells themselves. So I'll take you guys through the exercise. So the first thing is, what is the objection that woman has? Well, she says, I don't have time to go to the gym. Okay. What's the experience that gave her the belief that she doesn't have time to go to the gym? Well, maybe the last time that she went to the gym, her 2-year-old kicked and screamed and cried, said, Mommy, please don't go. Please don't go. So the story that woman tells herself is, well, I can't go to the gym because if I do, my kid is going to scream and kick and I'm going to be a bad mother. And if I drop it off at the grandparents and the kid is kicking and screaming, the grandparents are going to think I'm a bad mother. So therefore, I just don't have time to go to the gym. Would you guys agree? Like that's probably the real, like every time someone tells you they don't have money or every time someone tells you they don't have time, it's just an objection that is covering for a false belief that they have. They're telling themselves some type of story, and we have to get down what is the experience that gave them that false belief. And so let's say that I know this because I have a client. We'll go back to, I used Amy as an example, although Amy's an online coach. We'll pretend that Amy wants to lose weight, right? If I tell a story about, hey, here's why most moms struggle to lose the last 10 pounds of their baby weight. It's because they're not going to the gym, but hear me out because they're not going to the gym for a good reason. Give me the next 5 minutes and I'll give you a plan that I gave to my client, Amy, that allowed her to not only go to the gym, but actually had her child playing with her 8 hours extra every week, right? If you're a mom who wants to lose weight, you're like, how the heck did that happen, right? And you watch the video and I talk about how I took Amy into the gym and I had her bring her kid because she told me that, hey, every time I go to the gym, my kid kicks and screams. I'm like, bring your child to the gym. And what if I kneel down by that kid and I tell the story about how I told the kid, how would you like mommy to have 10 extra hours to play with you every single week? Well, for the next 90 days, mommy needs to come play with me at the gym and I'm going to give her the energy just like a superhero so that by the time I give her back to you, you're going to have 10 extra hours with mommy every week. How does that sound? I tell this story in a video. What do you think is going to happen? Other moms are going to be like, oh, I want to work with this person because they actually solved the problem. That is what this stealth influence exercise does. So by the time that my audience gets on the phone with me, they already understand and they have certainty, right? Because in that video, did I not give that woman certainty and everyone watching certainty that, she's got this time it's going to be different. Because here's the thing. Every person that you're going to talk to has probably tried what you're selling at some point with someone else. And they're asking themselves, how will this time be different? And so that's what this exercise is actually going to do. It's going to show them that this time will be different. So this is my entire process of creating content. Now, at this point, you guys have seen me create like the content, like the actual topics, right? We know how to get value bombs. We know how to get power content. We know how to write our power offer, right? I showed you guys where all of this like stuff comes. Do you guys see how my entire ecosystem is built off of one exercise? Right? And now we're going to get all of our warm content from the stealth influence exercise, because this is where we've already given people clarity. Now it's time to build certainty and build trust. And so basically we take that same exercise and we run it through the stealth influence lens. And then we break it down into the trust profiles. And here's what else we're going to do is we're going to not only do videos, but we're going to do written content. One of my favorite things to do is I take my shorts that I'm running with my value bombs and I turn them into written post word for word. And I ask people, do they still with the value bomb? Here's how I'm able to do this. And that's literally how I do. I literally recycle all of my content. I just do it over and over again. I do it in video form. I run it through a tool that's called Tactic that pulls the YouTube videos. It's free. There's probably other tools that do it too. I want to say Vox Script plugin for ChatGPT will even just pull it straight from the YouTube clip. I like to do a lot of video first. I take notes in Twitter and then I go do the videos and then I pull them and then I ChatGPT spit them out. But that's my entire content process, right? It's just knowing how to talk to one person at this one moment in time. I think a lot of you guys are trying to talk to too many people. But if you can just like, and one of my friends, Lucas, he's my copywriter. He actually quoted me on this over the weekend and it made me smile. He said, my friend Laurel has this one strategy on how to create content. And he's like, this is how I do it. And it's just here's my tactic every single day. I go live or I write a post and I just think, what is the one problem that I can solve for one person today? If you just do that for the next 90 days and throw a couple of bucks on every piece of content, everything that we talked about today, clarity, certainty, trust, you're not going to have any issues. Because here's the thing. And here's the cold hard truth, guys. There's probably, let's see, how many people are in this room? Let's see, we've got 27 people, including me and Christina. So 20, there's 25 of you guys sitting here. 20 of you guys are going to sit here and do nothing today. Y'all are just here to procrastinate. I'll just be real. 5 of you guys are actually going to go and do the work and it's going to pay off. But you have to do it, because here's the deal. The barrier to entry to make it in the online marketing space is still so small, because not enough people want to do this. They want to take the shortcuts. They want to use ChatGPT. They want to use AI to make fake videos. They want to do faceless videos. They want to do this. Well, I will say this. If you learn how to do this and learn how to do this very, very well, not even very, very well, if you even just learn how to do this half-ass, you will still win. You will literally win. So what I'm going to do is I am going to shut up. And then I'm going to let you guys talk, and I've got a couple of minutes to sit here and we're going to solve some problems. What I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you guys to unmute yourself. And we're just going to solve some problems. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys these exercises in case you don't have them, because you guys showed up live. And then people are going to watch the replay and they're going to ask for them and I'm going to tell them no. But if you guys want to share them with the people who ask for them, that's fine. It's up to y'all. Jawad, did I say your name correctly?
Yes, you have said my name correctly.
Thanks. Yes.
Hey, Laura, I am following you for some time, like in your $7 program. And I have like nearly watched all the videos, the replay wallets, brick and mortar, e-commerce, and like the real estate stuff and all that. So my query from you today is, let's say like I'm running a hosting company, like a web hosting company. So how can I like create content for that? Like, like this is a digital product and we cannot like show our face and all that stuff. So how your strategies of creating content can be helpful for me? Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. So you build websites, right? There's a goal that every website builder should have. Like what's the first goal, right?
No,
What's
Laura,
the
I
second
am a
goal?
web hosting company, like a web hosting, like we provide space for the website business owner to host their website,
Oh, so but still the same
like a
thing. Like what are
Namecheap.
the goal like what are the goals that your ideal customer has with your type of service? And what are the features and benefits that meet every single one of those goals?
All right, I got your point. Like we have three USPs. Like the first one is like we have the same price on the renewal. Like we don't surprise our customer with the price hikes. The second thing is like we provide
No
excellent
one no
support
one
24
cares
by
about
7.
that. Can I just say that that's you're talking price. Like what is like I mean price, I'm not going to say that price doesn't make a difference, but that's not what they're going to you for. What are the benefits and features that people will go to you for? Like it's always going to have to do with some kind of service or something that you're going to provide that no one else does.
If like I discuss about the like the hosting companies in the market, you will not believe that. But how many like stars we have in the sky, the same like exist for the hosting companies. Like there are many hosting companies out there, but mostly what happen. Let's say like we talk about like one of the biggest company hosting. If like you sign up for today, they will like charge $40 from you, like the $40 from you, and on the next renewal, let's say after 1 year, they will charge 3 and 4x from you, like $160, $140, something like this. And you have to pay in that case because you have your website hosted there, everything is set up, and you don't think to migrate it. But in our case, like the first thing that we consider is like whatever like you will stay our customer, let's say 5 years, 10 years. We are doing it by the way from the past 5 years. So like
Okay.
the
So
renewal
here,
price will be the same.
I get it. You wanna the whole price thing, but I will tell you this price is not the thing that like I mean, it will have like a it'll make a dent, but at the end of the day, and this is the way that I think, right? Because like me and my business partners, we built a software company, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
Success Finder, we're in the process of like almost launching it right now. We had a set of goals of what we wanted to accomplish with the software. We had a list of all of the problems that we wanted to solve that other software companies who were offering the same thing that we do, what do we do different? And I guarantee you it had we never mentioned the whole price of the thing, not one time in the entire build of it. We were solely focused on what are the problems that our software actually solves. And so I guarantee that whenever your company was building your software, y'all probably had a very similar conversation like, look, these are all of the problems that our customers are having. These are the goals that we have in order to solve each of those problems. And so that's what you have to figure out is what were each of those goals and what were each of those problems that you're solving. And that's where all of your content's going to be.
I got your point. Thank you.
Yep, you're very welcome. Marga,
Hi, how are you? So good to
I'm
see you.
doing good. It's great to see you.
Hi. Same. Okay, so yesterday I was playing with the like drilling down on the power offer,
Mhm.
and I got 3 power offers. But what I would love to do is like to read with you about how to turn some of the elements in the power offer into this type of content where it's very specific and it talks to one person, because I know that that's like the real next step. So
Okay.
yeah, just
So,
by look, yeah, go ahead.
okay, so the elements of the power offer are going to be the elements of the steps, right? So if we look at this, right? So in mine, it's goal number 3 to have a validated power offer, meaning they've sold 2 to 3 of their offers, right? What is the mechanism that we're going to use to sell that power offer? I mean, what is the mechanism we're going to use to sell that offer? It's a power offer, right? And then what are the steps to design this? Step 1, writing a power offer. 2, testing it with a $5 ad, booking, blah, 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 right? Then the power offer, right? The promise is based upon the goal, and the elements are part of the steps. So your power offer steps, like this is going to be a power content video. This is going to be a power content video. This is going to be a power content video. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Okay, yeah, because what I'm seeing is, for example, like the ones that I got, now that I read them back, they feel a little bit like vague. But if I was to say something that gets closer to less vague is
So let's actually go through it. What is the goal that you're focusing on?
okay, so let me have a look. Okay. If I show you how to use AI to grow your business without working longer
But
hours,
no. What's the goal?
the goal. Okay, so the goal would be to make more content that stops the scroll using AI.
Okay. So
Something like that.
but what is the goal that your customer, that's I think more of a step. Or is it part of your goal to release X amount of content each week using, and then the mechanism is AI?
Yeah, because it's automation and AI. And so turning existing content into more content for other platforms.
Okay. So remember, we have to have a measurable goal at each step of the process, right? So what does your customer journey look like? What's goal number 1?
Okay. Okay, so for this specific offer, we're gonna take your existing content.
Right, but what's the goal? Remember, we're breaking it down. The overall client journey needs to be broken down into 3 to 5 goals. And then those 3 to 5 goals need to be broken out into what's the mechanism to reach the goal? And then what are the steps that we're going to use in order to achieve that goal? So, and one question to ask yourself is, let's say I have this goal of invisible leads. I ask myself the question, my clients know they're successful at hitting this goal when blank happens. For me, when they get 500 people added to the invisible list. So for you, what is goal number 1? And what is the mechanism that they're using to hit the goal?
Okay, so let's see if I get this right. For this specific service, a goal number 1 would be to have to clone your brain, basically, using your AI bot.
Okay, so if we use it through the filter, my client knows they've hit goal 1 when blank happens.
When they can create content with the AI, with their AI bot that sounds exactly like them.
Okay, so they know when, so when AI sounds exactly. So their goal is get AI to sound exactly like them. So obviously the mechanism
is a data set, or yeah.
Right? So step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So what are the individual steps to doing that?
The first one is they fill up a questionnaire with their brand's DNA, their brand's info.
Okay. And I'll show you how to turn that into content that people will actually watch.
Yeah, I call it the content creation questionnaire.
Okay. And then what's step number 2?
Okay, step number 2 would be to we process the questions using prompts to get more specific information about their clients.
Okay. And then?
And then once that's done, we, okay, so for this one specifically, we're gonna grab that data set and we're gonna feed it to a bot that we built that helped them spit out content. Feed it to the bot, yeah.
Okay. Is that the final step, or are there more steps?
Yeah, and then they get trained to use the bot.
Okay.
And the bot fills up. It's like for every tactic there's a bot. It's like, it's not just like a generic, it's like there's a specific tactic. Say for example, it helps you create a video script that stops the scroll.
Gotcha. So the goal number one is to get AI to sound exactly like them, right? So you are trying to write your power offer, right? So who is it for?
Okay, so this is for established entrepreneurs who have been in business for at least 4 years. And they are already creating content on at least 2 social media platforms.
Okay. Coaches who are already creating content, right? So that's who it's for, right? So now we're writing kind of the bones of the power offer, right? So we know coaches who are already creating content. So we're going to take a look at the goal, and we're going to take a look at the mechanism. I already can kind of like almost kind of start to formulate, right? If over the next 7 days, I could build you a bot that sounds exactly like you, right?
And
then
it's capable to scroll. Like for example, like that's good. But if I was to say like, and it's gonna create content that stops the scroll. Like
that stops the scroll 90% of the time. That does blah 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 without you having to do XYZ. Click the link below and see how it works. But you see how literally we just like started with the goal, and then we went into the mechanism, and then I had her literally outline the steps in order to get to that goal. And then but you see how clear, like I was able to just be like, well, I can see the offer already because I have the input of information. So that would be one of your power offers, is building a bot in X amount of days. That sounds exact, that allows, you know, the coach or consultant to pump out content that sounds exactly like them.
Amazing. And you always want to word that goal the way they would say it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. But you always want it to be like measurable, tangible, a way. You always want to be able to answer that question, right? I know I've hit goal number 1 when blank happens. Cool.
Excellent.
When the bot is built and it sounds exactly like me, and we've hit it within 7 days or however long, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Eric.
Hey, good morning, Laurel.
Good morning.
Everyone. Hey, I'm looking for maybe a little bit of advice and some encouragement. So in the last couple of weeks, my flywheel has completely lost momentum. I had a credit card go down or get compromised. So I used my business partner's credit card, and then I realized like a week and a half later that like 90% of the charges were failing for some reason. Anyway, everything got screwed up. Then I picked up a couple clients in my other business, and so I've just completely lost momentum. So I guess I'm just looking for like so I've got 3 power contents and 1 conversion multiplier. All the metrics are good.
Mm-hmm.
But I like nothing's happened in 2 weeks. So like, what would you tell me to do to just kind of pick this thing back up and get going again?
I'm going to let Erica Leary tell you what to do, because if anyone's been paying attention, I think I'm gonna put Erica on the spot. What should Eric? It's only because your name almost is like Eric, so I was like, I'm gonna pick on Erica. What should he do?
Just keep up with the flywheel. Start adding that new content. Add some more.
Yeah, just do it. Right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like today's day 1 of the 7-day thing, and just do it. You know, but
just do it. Like
okay.
just start where you left off. Who cares, right?
Okay, simple enough.
Yeah.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Great seeing you.
Good to see you too.
Jean-Michel. Oh, I think I don't know, your mic's not working for some reason. No. I'll come back to you. Dawn. Oh, Dawn, you're on mute.
And blinks. Can you hear me now?
Yes. There we go.
Now I can't hear anybody. Oh man, I hate technology so much right now. Give me. I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay. Dawn, are you there? Go ahead and unmute yourself and we'll come back to Jean-Michel.
Hear me?
Yes, I can.
There we go. Okay, it just clicked in. Sorry about that.
Hang on. I went to Dawn, so let's let Dawn and then I'll come back to you.
I think Eric answered my question. So I think I'm probably good. I've got an invisible audience of 7,000 people. Life got in the way. I just need to get back to it.
Yep, absolutely. And it's one of those things too, like life always like gets in the way and there's always going to be something that comes up. And that's one of the reasons why I created the strategy the way that I did, because I wanted to create something to where I can walk away from it and no one would know that I walked away. Right? Because even if, like, think about this, even if your content isn't making the metrics, but if you keep running it, it's still better than nothing being done at all.
Right. Yeah. The content is making the metrics. It's just I stopped making more content to the audience. And so that's where I failed at and I need to get back to that. So
yeah, that's one of those things where I keep having to remind myself too. Because does everyone know like how to master something? Like just learn how to, like, all of us need to be focused on one thing. Like if ads like are the thing that you need to get to work, that's the one thing that you should be focused on 100% of the time until you've mastered it, and then you could just do it in your sleep. And so that's the way that I do. Like for instance, like last week there was this one thing that I had to figure out with Kartra, and it took me several hours, but it was like like Dan Henry always says, like circle of focus, and I hear Dan's voice in my head all the time after he said that. But like I did nothing but like focus on that one stupid thing in Kartra for like hours, and I got it done. That doesn't mean that I didn't get my content or anything else done. It's because I mastered it. I was able to do it in my sleep, get it done, and then tucked away, and then be able to do it. I don't know if that's helpful, Don, but that's one of the things that I like, the way that I like when life happens, I'm like, what is my priority that I have to get done today? If I don't know how to do it, I don't do it, because I'll spend time trying to figure it out and I just like get the stuff that I actually need to get done.
perfect. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Jean-Michel.
Take two. Okay, I just wanted to use this chance to see if you could help me get more specific. That's always.
Oh, yes.
I always have the two problems. One is like, just if I keep the content going, I feel like I don't have enough time to think it through. And it seems like it's the same, like I'm not improving it. It's just the same thing as I did last week. And then the other problem is it's hard to get more specific for some reason.
Yeah, no, let's do it. I love jamming with you.
Okay. So yeah, you know my deal. So I'm helping pre-product market fit SaaS CEOs and also like go-to-market teams get ads working. And basically what we do is we sell free trials with ads, and then we call those people and do a demo and sell them an annual subscription. And then that ends up having great return. And I set up that program usually takes between 3 and 4 months. And basically all my ads are very broad. They're like, hey, nothing's growing, right? Call me. Yeah. And like when I try to break down like the individual problems, it ends up being too big. I don't know.
So what are the 3 to 5 goals that you're trying to shoot for?
For me, for those teams, or for them?
Like what's your client journey? What are your 3 to 5 goals for your client journey?
One is they validated the pain, then that they have a high performance ad, then they validated the cost per trial or whatever thing we're trying to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the team actually executing and following up and selling, and then getting a reasonable ROAS before we turn it up.
Did everyone just hear how beautifully he just described his client journey with like super measurable, tangible, like just things? That's real. So really, really good, right? So now, right? So we understand his client journey. Like the first thing that if I work with Jean-Michel, this is what's going to happen. That's if people can't close their sales calls, it's because they can't articulate exactly what he just articulated. And so that's why this exercise is multi-purpose, because it helps you get clear on setting that pathway for your ideal client. So which of those goals do you want to work do you want to break down?
I don't know. I'm worried. I would love to have more like top of funnel ads that were more specific. So I guess the first one, I guess.
Okay. So the first goal is validating the pain point, I think is what you said, right? See, I
Yeah.
remember he said it so clear. I remembered what he said.
Yeah.
So what are the steps to validating that pain point?
Well, we run ads specifically for that pain point, and we compare the performance.
Well,
So
there's more
it's like,
there's more steps than that, right? Like
that's true. Yeah.
what is the first thing? What is the very
Okay.
first step to doing that?
The very first step is we have like this workshop to map all of the understanding of the customer and how does that map to the product, and like what are the pain points and how does that relate to the product's pain relievers? Like what pains can we pivot the whole concept around?
Say
So
that
that's
you're
the
gonna
first
have to
step.
explain that more, because I'm not like I didn't even understand what you were saying right there. So what is it? What is it like?
Yeah.
Remember, I could be your ideal customer, and I'm
Right.
the ideal customer saying, what does mapping out what does validating the pain point look like?
Okay, let me delete some details too. So the most important ones would be you would brainstorm what are all the pain points that we believe the customer has, and then we would on like another column what are all the pain relievers that our software application has, and like you draw a line like this pain point maps to this thing in the software that relieves that pain point, and then we're going to try and rank. We have assumptions about which ones of those are the most painful and valuable, but we actually validate the assumption by running very specific templated ads to be able to
Well,
say, okay,
you're trying to go too far ahead. Like the
yeah,
first, what is the
oh yeah,
first
yeah.
step
Sorry,
is mapping out
yeah,
the like kind of like the crisscross exercise, right?
yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah,
So that's step number one.
yep,
So we've mapped it out and you've drawn lines.
yeah.
What's the next step? Because that by
The,
itself can be its own power content right there. Like just like here's how, because a lot of people are figuring out their customer's pain point all wrong. Give me the next 5 minutes and I'm going to walk you through the very first step in our entire process that sets
yeah,
the tone for ensuring that our process is going to work or something like that, right? So
yeah.
that's step number one. So what's step number two?
Okay. And one other thing about that is if you go look at like, especially B2B, if you look at SaaS websites, you, I mean, you have no, you're like, what the hell does this do? Who is this for? That's usually a really big problem.
Oh, 100%. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The next step would be to run ads to like actually get market data about which of those pain points gets the biggest response.
So I don't think that's the next step. I think the next step is creating the ads, because how would you
Yeah.
type of ads to
Yes.
create, right? So see how you're like
Yep.
you're not
Jump.
you're like, because you know all in your head what those ads look like. But if I'm a new customer, I'm like, well, how do we create the ads? Like, is that going to be, what's that process look like? Because remember, I'm someone who's probably never ran ads before.
Yeah. That's right. Yep. You would make those ads and there's little nuances there.
Mm-hmm. Which a great power content video would probably be. Here's what our ad structure looks like. Here's why it works. Here's where people make the mistake whenever they do this, right? So again,
Yeah.
all good, interesting topics. So what's step number 3? We've created the ads. Now we launch the ads, correct?
Yeah. And then usually for my clients, it's like, okay, well, here's how you don't get banned on your account. And here's all the steps to warm it up and all that stuff. That's usually in there. And then after that, you run it, and the next day you see what happened.
Yep. And then KPIs.
KPIs. Yeah.
Boom. And there you go. So now you've got those are 5 pieces of power content right there.
Well, this is like my course then. So this is like giving away trying to make it even smaller.
Yes, exactly. This is literally the course. Like this is literally the course from start to finish. Like this exercise literally helps you create everything, because you have to remember people are coming at different parts of are coming in at different parts of the journey.
Yeah. Okay. So another way to think about this would be, is this right? I could just look at the very beginning, like getting started part of the course, and try and chop it up into like, this is a chunk of thing you could do in one
Well,
sitting.
if it meets the goal, if it hits the goal, right? That's why I tell
Yeah.
you guys what's goal number 1, goal number 2, what's goal number 3. Like it's
Yeah.
literally your entire client journey.
Okay. Okay. Hey, that was helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Celeste.
Hello, Laurel. I just wanted to tell you, sorry I can't show my video at this time, but I just wanted to tell you, you offer so much value that it makes me mad at like those high ticket coaches who just offer half of it. So thank you.
Thank you. That made my day. What a great way to start Monday.
So my question is similar to the last question. How do you illuminate that path for people without giving everything away? And I struggle with that balance. It's like, how do I communicate all the steps without giving away my secret sauce?
Why are you afraid of giving away your secret sauce?
I'm afraid of giving away my secret sauce because it feels like giving out band-aids, right? So it feels like saying that this is the solution and convincing people somehow. Some people will take all those steps, try to do it themselves, and fail. So it is, I feel very passionate about what I do. And I work with professionals living with chronic overwhelm, specifically high achievers, and I help them get their balance, their energy, and their focus and their mental freedom
All
back.
right. So can I say something?
Yeah.
If you're working with those people, they just need validation that you know what the hell you're talking about. They're not going to do it themselves. That's what most high achievers are happy to trade money to get more time back. They're not going to spend time going and trying to map your content all together.
Okay. All right.
There's a reason that I paid Nick the big bucks for like 4 years, even though all of his content's for free, is because here's the way that I look at it, and this will fit perfectly with your audience, Celeste.
Mhm.
Is I paid Nick not to get the stuff that I needed to know. I paid Nick to tell me the stuff I had to ignore.
The stuff you had to ignore.
That I needed to ignore. Right? I wasn't paying him for information. I was paying him to tell me the things I didn't need to know.
Got it. So you were paying him to simplify the process so you didn't have to listen to all the fluff that's out there and go down.
Exactly. He
Okay.
just said, all you need to do is do this, this, and this, and you can ignore all of the rest.
Got it.
That's why I paid him the big bucks.
And so are you recommending that we go into so much detail that the people who actually pay me to do the work, the exercises and the things that they get, are you saying I should give that away for free?
I don't think they're paying you for the exercises, are they?
They're not, but I know that they're paying me a lot. So I know that if they saw the content that I share in the training and the things that we walk through and do, they might say, hey, we paid to get access to certain things. Sort of like you gave us links to something that you would give your Lean on Laurel people, but you rewarded us for being here live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if maybe some of your Lean on Laurel people said, hey, you know, that was part of that access to that information was part of why I paid for it, type of thing.
Hey, Maggie, are you mad that I just gave away the exercise that I showed you guys in Lean on Laurel when it comes to creating content?
No. I was like, oh yeah, that thing. Need to do it again.
No.
No, it's about like, you know, I was watching Laurel's stuff for a few months. I was in the $7 program for a few months, and I was like, I have all this information. I want Laurel to look at my stuff and tell me exactly what to apply and how.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, like I want to say, Maggie, too, you were like, this isn't stuff that I didn't already know before, you know, like joining. It's just like it hits different when you actually work with someone, right? Like a lot of the stuff that Nick showed me was stuff that I could go and watch on his YouTube channel, but I was like, I just want that guy in my back pocket.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and at the end of the day, it's all our own decisions, right? We're only as comfortable sharing with what we're comfortable in sharing. But like, if you go to my YouTube channel, everything's there. Like most of you guys aren't in this room right now because, you know, you want me to show you how to run an ad and push buttons and all of that fun stuff. It's like what we're doing right now. It's like it's like the discussion and helping you guys apply it personally.
That's so true, because otherwise it's information overwhelm.
Yeah. And, you know, Lynn just asked, but what if we sell information products? Well, you need to figure out a way to sell an information product that's not all about information, because information products, Perry Belcher said this, Jay Abraham, there's 2 events that I went where they were like, you have to innovate information products. You have to innovate those things, because a lot of people aren't paying for information because ChatGPT knows everything. Like I literally went the other day and someone mentioned someone's course or whatever. And I just like went and asked ChatGPT. I was like, wait, what is this? Blah, blah, blah. And it knew like, like everything, like, you know, so it's one of those things where we just have to keep being innovators as, you know, people in the information space, because it's not just about sending people to watch a whole bunch of videos. It's about like helping people implement what they're actually, because there's 2 things, right? People pay to know something, but then people also pay on knowing how to implement it. And so like people paying to know something is getting more and more like people have to pay less and less to know something these days, which is
Right.
unfortunate, but that's just the way, we have to learn how to evolve, you know?
Makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Look at that. On time with oh my God, I was about to say with 1 minute to spare. And as the 90-minute mark just came up, but man, good session today. Is everyone a little bit clear on how this one exercise, but that's what I wanted to really just show you guys, how this one exercise literally takes care of almost every single piece of the entire ecosystem. Everyone feel comfortable now about going and doing content and kind of understanding the different, and Kathy's like shaking her head no. Where are you stuck, Kathy?
I'm the one with the vacation rentals, and I've changed. I think I've been really innovative with my videos and got a lot of good video views at less than 5 cents, 4 cents, and 3 cents, and I'm up to like several thousand people. So now I'm stuck on the next step on the 60-minute ones. The part I get stuck on is they don't really want to see me. You know what I mean? Like, so I've been putting together videos with photos of the property and what
you said you're creating content for people to rent your Airbnb, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Which fall, you have it easy. You have it like you don't have to do as much as much digging into deep content, like that content exercise. You literally just have to like create the content. And I know I think we talked about it on the last call. Like you just have to focus on why are people going to choose my property over all of the other ones.
Well, it goes back to what you said, because to the goals for each customer, you know, like I did use the couples goals, and I created a video on grown folks time. It's grown folks time at the beach. And
yeah, because you're in Pensacola area, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yeah, and I have a separate area in Fairhope. So
but you also have to remember too, and this is a really great example of what I said a while ago. Remember, there's going to be people who are going to watch your content, but it's not vacation season right now. The kids just went back to school. Like everyone is kind of like back to work mode. Summer's kind of winding down. But think about this, Kathy. If you keep your content going year round, when they're ready to book, who do you think they're gonna call? You. Yeah. So don't get discouraged. You have to, and this goes for, and I want everyone to take note of this, because it's not just for Kathy. There's a lot of you guys who are in a seasonal business. And sometimes I'll say seasonal business, and it doesn't necessarily mean summer, winter, fall, spring, like tax season, right? Like tax experts, they have to know, hey, going out of tax season into the summer, it's going to be my slow month, right? And we have to learn to like, what type of content are we going to put there in order to nurture people into the next season going into the busy season, right? And so we have to learn to identify, like, I will say this, like most people in the coaching space, they actually typically see a dip in June. For some reason, June and November are like the 2 months where most like online like coaching spaces kind of dip. I don't know why that is. Maybe the holidays, maybe, I don't know, going into summer or what, but it's just always important to identify like when those seasons are. And sometimes it takes 3 years of business to identify those seasons, but just learning how to prepare for it. But Kathy, I wouldn't get discouraged, because as long as you're engaging people, Because here's
Yeah.
the thing too, you keep your content in front of people and people are going to be like, oh man, that house, and they're gonna be sharing it with their friends. And that's all you want. Like, yours is very easy. It's like, keeping those power clips going, the power content going, and then just boosting all of all the stuff on your pages to the people who are watching that, and just do that year round.
Okay, I've got to get back in the course on the retargeting. I'm not really understanding that yet. But I will say this, there's a lot of big gurus out there talking about how much they get on direct bookings, and I think they're full of crap. I really do, because if people aren't traveling, they're not traveling. Like I got 90% occupied through the summer just off Airbnb, but all the other things I do to be able to direct book keep me very highly visible locally.
Yeah, direct booking is usually between 60 and 70%.
No, I don't even believe that. But okay.
That's what the people that I like help with Airbnbs, that's what they say, the direct booking. So
no way. But I would love to get there, but I don't believe it. Okay.
yeah, I guess it all depends on what kind of property you have too.
What kind of property, if it's not seasonal, and what kind of database they already have that they're marketing to.
Yeah, most of the people that are in the $7 program that run it are glampers. They have glamping properties in like Austin, Texas, in the wooded areas.
That might be different. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. But you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I'm going to put up this replay as soon as I have it. And if you're in LOL and you have any questions, just reach out, Voxer. I'm going to hit Voxer here in the next couple of minutes. But yeah, I'll see you guys later.